DW Africa Link.
I accept with profound humility and profound gratitude the nomination of our great party, the All Progressive Congress, to stand again as your presidential candidate in the 2027 election. We will firmly place Nigeria on an irreversible path of economic expansion, industrialization, energy security, infrastructural development, food sovereignty, and democratic consolidation. Many Nigerians still struggle with price wars and economic adjustment. We do not dismiss these concerns. We understand them and govern not in comfort, but in reality, with honesty and action. We are not made for easy roads. We want to bequeath prosperity and a better life to our children yet unborn. We are paying the price now.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu is officially seeking a second term after being crowned his party's candidate for the 2027 election. And it seems he is the man to beat. But with soaring living costs, insecurity, and growing public frustration, can he win voters over? Or is the ruling party already too far ahead with the opposition divided? That's what's coming up. I am Eddie Micah Jr., and you are welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
President Tinubu came into office promising bold reforms to fix one of Africa's largest economies. But for millions of ordinary Nigerians, life has become far more expensive. At the same time, security challenges continue to haunt the country. But here's the thing. His APC now controls 31 of Nigeria's 36 states, up from 21 just 2 years ago, as politicians defect to the winning side. Meanwhile, an opposition pact to field a single challenger against him collapsed earlier this month. So Tinubu heads into this race looking almost unbeatable. For more on this, let's bring in Dr. Umar Tanko Yakaise, Director General Tinubu Support Group, TSG. I also have Ben Chemang, DW correspondent in Nigeria. Hello and welcome both of you to Africa Link. Ben, give us a sense of the mood on the ground.
Many Nigerians are feeling that, yes, Tinubu is lucky to come back a second time, having got this renomination to contest. Because to them, he is a master of the art. He's been able to install even Buhari of that time, nominated the vice president Osinbajo, and they all ran a ticket together and won that election. And of course, he's been able to install lawmakers, nominated ministers, and they came on board. So if it is politics, Tinubu is on top of the game. But some Nigerians are also feeling that politics should not just be politics for its own sake. Policies in terms of security, in terms of food security, in terms of education, health delivery, and all that stuff. So some people will question quite a lot, even though the same president will tell you that he's been able to do a lot. When he received his letter of return, he simply said he understood the pains of Nigerians. He understood, in fact, if any of them went lean, he's also lean. Therefore, he's worried the way the same Nigerians are worried. So it is a line of divide here. Some will say he's doing very well. Some people are saying no, he still has to do quite a lot to ensure that he gets the votes in 2027.
Right. Thank you very much, Ben. And I mean, we're talking about Nigeria now, where there's a lot of pressure on people's pockets, right? High cost of living for many ordinary Nigerians, insecurity is still haunting the country. And that's why I wonder what another 4 years of Buhari would be? I mean, it's still early days yet. Campaigning hasn't officially even begun. What can people expect?
Yes, people believe that those on his side believe that he will do more and better, bearing in mind that even the security network that is going on, you could see that the Americans are here. They've been able in fact, they go to fight the war with some of the Nigerian troops. So if you are talking of the economy, they're telling us that the foreign exchange, in terms of even what you have foreign reserve, is increasing because Tinubu is on ground. They said that in the last 7 years, there hasn't been that kind of increase in foreign reserve. Apart from that, that the Naira is stabilizing. That is what the government will tell you. But the Nigerians are still worried. They said, we need to see some of these things on ground. If you're talking about employment, how many people have been employed? This is what they want to know. And incidentally, what you call the Federal Office of Statistics, National Bureau of Statistics, they always come out with some figures, and sometimes they are not palatable to government. And Nigerians tend to believe those figures because this is coming not from opposition, but from a government agency. But Tinubu will say in all of that, he is going to look at what to do and make it better. Some believe that the next years to come, if Tinubu wins, of course, it's going to be better. Some still say that, it's a kind of let's wait and see. Therefore, they seated on the fence to see whether Tinubu would deliver more in terms of security, in terms of food supply, in terms of even health activities. Then road networks here and there, that the roads are bad. They want to see what Tinubu will do to ensure that they are better, the railway system, the aviation sector, and all that stuff.
Right. Thank you very much, Ben. I'm going to come straight to you, Dr. Yakaise. I mean, look, you are clear about it. You belong to the Tinubu Support Group, TSC. You're actually the Director General. So you clearly support President Tinubu and his running for a second term. Let's take it back a bit to the primaries that officially declared him the candidate for presidency next year. What does how the primaries went tell us about the shape of Nigeria's 2027 presidential race? I mean, Tinubu won quite convincingly, didn't he?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to say that our party, if you remember, brought out a timeline based on the INEC directive for the renewal of leadership at the ward to the national level, which we call ward congresses. And after that, the primaries timetable came out from State Assembly, Rep, Senate, governorship, and it ended with that of the president. And I can assure you that the system adopted was that of direct primaries, and then also contest if there is a need for a contest. However, most of the time we work towards consensus. And so there was a huge build-up before the penultimate the primaries for the president. And the beauty of it is that it's different from what it used to be, which was a delegate system where few people were given the opportunity to choose a candidate for the party. This time around, it was direct primaries. Every card-carrying member of the APC had the opportunity to go to the voting station in his or her ward and cast a vote for the president, any of between the two aspirants. And it happened across 774 local governments at 6 states of the federation, and if you go back, 8,809 wards. So the beauty of it is that it showed that there are a lot of APC members who have love for the president as an aspirant just it was a few days ago, and came out en masse and voted for him. And from the votes that he scored, you will see that he has a massive support from the party. And the other candidate, the young man who decided to also challenge the president, showed that democracy is working. The president did not just anoint himself. There was a contest, and majority of the members of the party, over 10 million, voted for the president, while Asifo got barely 16,000. So I think that the fact that everybody was given opportunity to exercise his or her right to vote, I think was commendable, and the exercise has been so far up to its end peaceful and very, very cordial.
You obviously must have heard there are a lot of people that are complaining about how Tinubu and his APC party are weakening the opposition. There's been a lot of defections from the opposition joining the APC. I want to get your take on that.
Yeah, I think when you say weakening the opposition just because members of the other parties are moving into APC, I don't think you will put the blame on Tinubu or the APC. Everybody in Nigeria who is 18 years and above has the right to vote and be voted for and has the freedom of association. And that's the beauty of democracy. And there is a multi-party system. So you can be in party A today, and if you feel that party B is better for you to exercise your fundamental human right, also the party B is better for you to do for the successes recorded, you can move to party B. So I think it lies squarely with the individuals who belong to other parties that are joining APC, and they are doing so because of the problems, the skirmishes, and the conflict within their parties, and they see the strength in the APC, and not only the strength, the achievement of President Bola Tinubu and their entice and motivated to move from their various parties into APC. So I don't think that it's Tinubu that is dragging anybody. They are moving in voluntarily.
Okay. Now, you talk about achievements of President Tinubu's government, but we all know the elephant in the room is the widespread public frustration over the economy and insecurity. We keep reporting about attacks after attacks. I'm wondering if you're concerned about the situation on the ground and how much that could translate into an electoral risk for President Tinubu when he runs again.
The president and the party and all of us commiserate with people who live in places that are insecurity and are affected by it. And the president has said severally he has had sleepless nights and worry and has worked with the Nigerian security agencies to bring an end to it. And so, if you remember, this insecurity started long ago under the PDP rule. And when insecurity festers, it becomes something difficult to control. Government is doing everything within its powers, and it's succeeding largely. But however, anytime you have incidences here and there, it's what makes the news. So I know that Nigerians, many who are realistic and objective, see the effort of the government, but of course, they also, those who are affected also feel hurt and then complain about it. So I believe that by the time that we start the campaign and add on to the explanations that have been going on, effort by the government, successes that have been recorded, and the fact that we remind Nigerians that this was something that was allowed to reach this level by previous government that Nigerians have rejected under the rule of the PDP, they will now realize that it is better to continue with President Bola Tinubu than to take the leadership back to those who started it in the first place and allow it to grow beyond control. And, insurgency is difficult to control. If you remember in Sri Lanka, there were tribal tigers. They spent over 30 years because they are not an army that you confront. If you remember in Colombia, there was the FARC rebels. They spent over 30 years. So sometimes insurgency, where people are not a well-formed army that will confront Nigerian security, people will hit and run. Guerrilla warfare, it's not easy for you to achieve success. And also when you have border lines across countries in West Africa that spans over thousands of kilometers, and Nigerians cannot control every inch of that border. So we need the support of other countries. As we push on this side, they also push from that side and reduce the insurgency. So I think insecurity is something that takes time to be able to achieve. It requires the help of everyone in the community to provide information to the security so that they'll be able to do their work.
One would argue this is the same excuse different governments have made, and this is why insecurity in Nigeria has been going on for decades. It's all about It's difficult. It's a difficult warfare to deal with, and it's going to take some time, and we need all hands on deck. So one would call it an excuse you're giving, but still your point is well noted. Ben, I'm going to come to you to really highlight the aspect of the opposition, because at the end of the day, if President Tinubu wins again, it would be because the opposition couldn't gather enough numbers. And it seems from what I've been reading on the ground that the opposition is indeed weak, isn't it? Give us a bit of what the situation is in the camp of the opposition.
Honestly, to the best of my knowledge and best of many Nigerians, the opposition is very weak in Nigeria. Tinubu is very, very much rooted in politics. And all they do is to complain. They say, look, Tinubu is just there to form a one-party state in Nigeria. Okay, some of them left the government and decided to form opposition. But again, there is intra-fighting. There is no internal democracy within the opposition political parties. Some again have pulled out. And each time they are talking to Nigerians, instead of telling us what they will do about electricity supply, what they will do about road network, what they will do about insecurity, all they do is, or all we hear is, we have to send Tinubu back from Abuja to Lagos. Let him just go and enjoy his retirement in Lagos. But what are the policies that will make the Nigerian voter, be wooed to vote for the opposition? And as we are talking, there is a faction of the ADC, African Democratic Congress. They did their own convention yesterday. As we are talking today, another faction of that party is doing its own convention today. So which one would the Independent National Electoral Commission recognize? Which one will be on the ballot paper? So quite a lot of things. If therefore, like it is said in law, he who goes to equity must go with clean hands. If you accuse Tinubu of not allowing democracy to thrive in APC, now you pulled out, you form your own party, and even forming, in fact, they joined some other political parties and simply went there to hijack, like people will say, to hijack what has been a resistance. Why don't you form a political party that is grassroots oriented to ensure that, yes, you are promising Nigerians this is what you will do, as different from what Tinubu is doing?
It's interesting what you're saying, Ben, because you're clearly painting a picture of a very fragmented opposition. Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think it's so difficult for the opposition to come together to be stronger?
Yes, we still believe so much in religion. That is one. Two, we still believe so much in regionalism. Now, some people will say, okay, we're going for Peter Obi, he's Christian, he's Muslim. Some will say, oh, he's Christian, he's Igbo from the southeastern part of the country. And the Igbos have been marginalized since the Civil War. They have not had a shot at the presidency. Then some will say, okay, why don't we have Atiku? All the while, there's no election that he has not contested, so he's a tested opposition leader. And for how long will he continue to kind of continue to contest without winning? So time has come, therefore, that they should have it. Outside that, there is what you call the North-South divide. Where will you take the power to? Does it belong to the South or to the North? Now, the ruling party says its candidate will come from the South. Therefore, Tinubu is there, Peter Obi is there, and many other Southerners. They are there as aspirants for now. But Atiku, who actually showed that in 2023, the arrangement of what you call power shift, he destroyed it and contested against a Southerner, against every agreement. Today, again, he's doing it, and that's scattered what you call the People's Democratic Party. What played out that time is the one that is going to play out again. So voters are actually getting confused, and that's why you also have this voter apathy. The French way will say déjà vu. We've already seen it, nothing new. Nigerians in pidgin parlance will say, now today, we've seen it already, a kind of confusion. So opposition is terribly weak, very weak. Up to now, they are not getting their act together. All the court cases are still hanging on their neck, and they don't know who is going to carry the day.
Right. With all this fragmentation going on in the camp of the opposition, Doctor, that must be good news for you and your party, isn't it?
Of course, nobody who is a Democrat would like to see democracy not at its best. And we would have loved to have a very, very formidable democratic opponent. But it's obvious that based on what Mr. Ben has said, these are people whom we know their tendencies. They've all had positions of leadership, and they do not put the country first. They always put themselves first. And so they lost power in the first place because they govern through the policies of exclusion rather than inclusion. And it is the same thing that is playing out right now. When they meet, nobody is putting the country first. Everybody is putting himself or herself first. And so every time they meet, Atiku wants to be the one that will be the candidate. Peter Obi wants to be. Konkoso wants to be. Amechi wants to be. All of them are uniting based on interest, not patriotic, outlook. And so therefore, the opposition finds it difficult to unite themselves because none of them wants to leave it for the other. Nobody wants to put a single person and rally around him because they don't believe that it's for the interest of the country rather for their own interest. So you can see that everywhere they meet, they scatter. Because when it comes down to the real matter, interest will prevail rather than patriotism. And so the other aspect is that when they, instead of them to do what APC did in 2013, relinquish all your parties, come together and establish a new party and build it. Because they do not have strategy, they do not have patience, they do not have any long-term vision and plan, what they waited to do is to go to a party, grab it, expel leadership that has been working for that party, and naturally people will fight back. So the conflict they created, they are the merchant of their own crisis. And so I believe that the APC is united, and I do not see any united opposition anywhere that has the capacity to come and challenge President Bola Tinubu or the APC in the coming election in 2023. I think I'm happy because nobody wants to have a united force that will come and take over power from the party, from the ruling party.
Right. Only time will tell. It's always tricky when discussing politics, right? Because people have different frames of looking at things. And, in some areas, one can argue there's been some positive strides. In other areas, people would say it's more of the same or things have gotten worse. So we can keep doing this back and forth for hours. But what is to be noted for sure seems to be the fact that the opposition in Nigeria seems to be quite weakened as things stand. Still some time to the elections next year, so we'll be keeping tabs on it to see if anything changes. Of course, our listeners will get the gist of it before elections begin. Thank you very much, both of you, for sharing your time with us. Dr. Umar Tanko Yakaise, Director General, Tinubu Support Group, TSG. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Ben Shimang, our correspondent in Nigeria. Many thanks to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Get the stories that are shaping the continent here on Africa Link.
So is there going to be real competition in the next elections or not? What would a Tinubu victory mean for ordinary Nigerians? A weakened opposition means fewer voices holding power to account. The next election is bigger than one man or one party. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country and one of its largest economies. So what happens there shapes trade, migration, security, and democracy across the continent. What do you think? Share your thoughts with us on Facebook at DW Africa. Listen on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabi. And I am Eddie Micah Jr. Thanks for listening.
DW. Made for minds.